Welcome to Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire. Today we are joined by the Chair of the Board of Supervisors in San Bernardino County. His name is Robert Lovingood. You have put out a plan for growth.
I have, and I think, Brad, it's something we've touched on before.
For sure.
And I think it's the key components, and you know, becoming chair, you know, I took the time, and I said that, and I reached out to each of my peers.
Right.
And said, if you have an agenda, what would you like to see on its top priorities?
And I have to say, I know your peers. And you guys get along pretty darn well.
We do.
I mean, you know, prior boards had some issues, for those that may be aware of the history of the county. And those issues are well behind us. And I feel as if, you know, you may be coming from different parties, different regions, but there does seem to be a general level of respect and appreciation amongst the five of you.
Well, I think and when I say that, being the newest member there,
Well,
and
that's
the
true.
newest elected.
Right, I guess, right. And you just got reelected, so.
I did.
Right.
But it was something it's something the group wants to see. So we can
Right.
disagree in closed session.
Right.
We can have a 3-2 vote on an item, but
Yeah,
when we
right.
do, we come out as a 5-0.
Right.
The majority at stake to this point has worked well, and it's to the benefit of the constituents. We're going to continue to work that way in the foreseeable future. When we look at these goals, we look at land use services.
Right, let's go right down to the goals. Land use services, what we know about the Inland Empire and specifically your county, largest geographic county in the lower 48.
Yes.
A lot of open land, a lot of open space. That presents challenges, and it presents a big upside as well.
It does.
So talk to us about the balance of wanting to create, you know, some nice open space, but at the same time wanting to develop more industry for your residents and constituents.
Well, I think you have that. When we look at the coastal communities and we look at the stress on the infrastructure to get the trucks out of LA,
Oh, yeah.
We have that opportunity partnering with Los Angeles County, and I believe there's a project called the 220 Corridor. It's
Tell us
in
about
process. That is, it's going to be, I think, a rail highway project that's going to connect Palmdale, Lancaster to the Victorville to Interstate 15.
Perfect.
Okay, 48% of the traffic comes from the Port of LA.
Right.
The ports, it has to be moved out. We have to free the freeways. Do you remember Ontario Motor Speedway?
I actually do.
Yeah. They built
Yeah.
it. What did they do 5 years later? They tore it down and put in condominiums.
Right, I remember that.
So look, we've got great leadership. Vice Chair Hagman's running the Airport Authority with Ontario.
Yeah, congrats on that local control back
I
to
got to
Ontario
share with
Airport.
you. You know, we were at $7.5 million. We had gone down to $4.5 million as we returned back to that
But
passenger
let me
count.
ask you about the airport, because I think it plays into these questions of land use.
Right.
You have Ontario Airport commercial,
Yes.
San Bernardino Airport. People may not even be aware of that. Not really commercial. I guess technically it could be, but it's not.
Right.
You have the airport in your community, Victorville. It's called
SCLA.
SCLA.
Yeah, Southern California Logistics Airport.
Right. So is there a way, now that Ontario's back in local control, if you can kind of ring those three airports in such a way that benefits the entire county?
I think there's time. Over time, it'll prove that there is. You know, years ago, I don't know if you've ever met and interviewed Jim Worsham, but he was an aviation giant. And when I say that, we had the opportunity to talk. He said, think about the freeways in California, how congested they are. He said, the same with the flight patterns until you get to SCLA.
Right, which is in Victorville.
Yeah, but
Right.
everything else is congested, so it'll come over time, and it plays the strength. So as passenger travel increases, then you're going to look for a place for logistics. I believe SCLA is a long-term play.
Which is hugely beneficial for your communities.
And you add the thought of the 220 corridor,
Right.
which can become a reality. You got the additional lanes of traffic. So the 10 is going to be integrate first. And when I say the 10 corridor,
Sure.
I think there's a federal effort that's going to reach in that direction. And then next,
Yeah, let's talk about the federal effort,
All right.
because, look, the new president has been very clear, both during the campaign and since, we don't know if it's going to come to fruition, that he wants to spend money on infrastructure.
Yes.
That could be a huge boon to communities in California. I'm trying to remember, does San Bernardino have a yeah, you do have a self-help tax.
Yeah, we're a self-help tax.
Which is helpful, I guess not so much vis-a-vis the feds, it helps with the state, but it could if you need to leverage matching funds.
Absolutely.
And so what's going on that front? Are you starting to get ready in case the Trump administration goes on infrastructure?
Well, I think we're well prepared, but I think at the same time that you have to look at what's shovel ready. And then you're going to have to look at, I think what's going to be the key component is going to be the private investment to come along with the public dollars. And those are termed P3s. And that's going to be allowing, outside investment, private investment into the highways for a variety of different reasons, much like the 91.
Right, the kind of the toll roads or HOT lanes, I guess they're
Yes.
called. Definitely something to look at. If we think about, though, the land use questions, this all dovetails in. I mean, San Bernardino is so beautiful, and you love, the horse lifestyle and beautiful mountains and the snow, and there's just so much there. Right. But some feel as if there can be a regulatory environment that's not friendly to those that want to expand business.
Right. Well, and I think that's kind of the key with my peers. And when I say that, so what we did is made a tremendous investment in software and technology to really update an antiquated system. So prior to, and as we're finishing the new software, it used to be you would walk in and you would have to pay your fees, and then you would say, well, when can I start? What's going to be my start date? And guess what? That was,
I hear you.
Some point in the future. The completion of the software, they sell a software package. You'll walk in, you'll do your application, you'll know when you leave how long until you have your permit. Investors have to know before they make a commitment. They want to know when they can go to work, when the cash registers will start working.
Along those lines, San Bernardino is on the precipice of seeing great development, measured development, whatever it may be. A lot of that development's in manufacturing, logistics, warehousing. You recently told me that there are 3,000 open jobs in manufacturing that cannot be filled because we don't have the trained labor.
That's right.
And so you're looking at expanding technical training.
And we're seeing that take place. And it's being led by private industry. And when I share that, California Steel, with their Intech program, has created on their campus one, without any cost, a program that leads to a living wage. VVC, our community college, is working today on adapting to programs to export to really our community that takes the untrained into a skilled trade position with a living wage.
And that dovetails into the new administration because, again, what the new administration has said is they want to bring jobs back. I've said this before, I don't know what that means exactly, but if the jobs are coming back, we need to be ready.
Yes.
And I presume a lot of those jobs would be manufacturing. We've heard a lot about the auto industry. And so is San Bernardino County ready to take those jobs back?
We're getting prepared, and we will be. And you create the opportunity, and you know it's the demand, and I've seen this in every profession and industry. When you create a demand, and years ago I remember we were working within the medical community of anesthesiologists, and there was a shortage. So what took place is to the wages. Those that were qualified more than doubled their opportunity.
Like nurses right now.
It'll follow the same path. It's just the fact that having private industry lead the charge, you're getting the standards they need, and they're working well with the public institutions.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean,
partnerships.
At Chafee, I think Intech is involved.
Absolutely.
I think they got a grant from Irvine or whatever it may be, and so it's all coming together.
Yes, absolutely. It was a part of it, and we have that same grant. We're developing the same programs, and they will lead to success. But it's a partnership, and I think everything we do moving forward is going to involve public-private partnerships, and with the leadership coming from the private community. And when I say that, because when you're responsible to a balance sheet, when you're responsible to a bottom line, you're a little more efficient about it. Because guess what? If you don't perform, what happens?
But if you inject a public entity, does that complicate the balance sheet?
No, they work well together. And I think everyone's sensing the value. I really believe that. I think on both sides of the page, they understand the value and the efficiencies and the fact that needs are being met today. So as we have this opportunity of returning manufacturing, it's just going to create really great opportunities for our constituents.
His name is Robert Lovingood. He is the chair of the Board of Supervisors in San Bernardino County. We're in the Inland Empire today. This is Local Edition.